What about the garbage outside today? Robert De Niro, officially sent by the Biden campaign, makes himself look like an idiot.
Charlie Kirk is gone, and Hollywood just cannot keep quiet about it. The reactions are coming in like wildfire, and some of the things being said are downright jaw-dropping. From Robert De Niro's wild tirades to a full-blown media circus, it's pure chaos out there, and we're breaking down every shocking twist. And hey, don't forget to smash that subscribe button for Viral Vibes Daily, because this is where you'll get the real truth behind the noise. If you want to go even further and support the grind, Super Thanks is officially live. It's the easiest way to help me keep exposing what's really going on. Ever since September 10th, when the unthinkable happened and news of Charlie Kirk's death hit the headlines, America, and honestly the entire world, has been reeling in disbelief. Something this brutal should never have happened, yet it did, carried out by someone who clearly had zero respect for life, humanity, or even basic sanity. Reports from the FBI, later backed up by none other than Donald Trump himself, confirmed that the suspect is already in custody. Justice may be on its way, but the wound left behind is already deep, and the ripples are only growing louder. And right on cue, here comes Hollywood, the self-appointed drama machine of society, hijacking the tragedy and twisting it into a stage for their favorite thing, pushing their own narratives. Actors, actresses, late-night comedians, talk show pundits, and even wannabe influencers are all rushing to say their piece.
Him down like, your movies suck. That's not true.
No, his movies are very good.
Suck. He's one of the greatest actors. I mean, he's the heir apparent to Brando, blah, blah, blah. But he's a loon.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to just say what he is. He has, basically, I describe this to people. You know what's happening now? Because people are aware about concussions and the problems with CTE. When you get hit and you get a dinger in football, they put you in the blue tent.
Some are dropping heartfelt words, others are trying to sound reflective. But let's be real. A huge portion of the noise is tone deaf, over the top, and straight up ridiculous. Take Robert De Niro, for example. Known for his fiery rants, De Niro has now decided this moment was his stage to unload one of his most bizarre takes yet. According to him, Charlie Kirk's death was somehow tied to toxic rhetoric from conservatives and what he called failures of the Trump administration. Yes, he actually said that. In De Niro's twisted version of events, simply supporting Kirk or backing conservative values is practically an invitation for disaster. He even went so far as to suggest that this tragedy was predictable. Can you believe that? A man just lost his life, and De Niro's first instinct is to lecture the nation, politicize the pain, and throw blame at millions of Americans as if he's the ultimate moral judge. It's not just absurd, and it's downright tasteless. Hollywood's response has people questioning if the so-called moral compass of celebrities is even working anymore. And trust me, this circus isn't just about Robert De Niro. Across the industry, the reactions have ranged from awkwardly insensitive to flat-out offensive. Comedians are cracking jokes about a man's death like it's late-night material.
And the sideline.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen to Democrats. They need to go in the blue tent for a little bit, kind of, get your eyes checked, and then come out and be rational again.
Yeah, cool off
and
a
De
little.
Niro needs to go in the blue tent. I mean, because it's not calming things down. We need to be
Big name actors are pointing fingers at political figures with zero evidence. Even video game developers are dropping controversial tweets that light social media on fire. And believe it or not, some people actually celebrated what happened. Yes, celebrated. That's the kind of disturbing detachment from reality we're dealing with here. Think about that for a second. A tragedy that shook the country, and instead of empathy, some used it as an excuse for clout, likes, and hot takes. Here's why this matters. Charlie Kirk's death should have been a rare moment to pause and unite, not another chance to tear each other apart. It's supposed to make us reflect on safety, on community, on how we treat each other in a world already boiling over with anger. But what did Hollywood do? They jumped on their soapboxes, lecturing, blaming, politicizing. It's performative outrage dressed up in designer clothes and fueled by celebrity privilege. And at the center of it, De Niro's rants stand out like a neon sign. He didn't just share grief, he launched into a tirade about Trump creating chaos, slammed conservatives as dangerous, and painted an entire group of Americans as villains. Instead of compassion, he served judgment. Instead of unity, he poured gasoline on division. And people are calling it out loud and clear. Robert De Niro just can't help himself. In 2025, he's still dragging his political baggage into every single tragedy, every event, every public conversation. Instead of focusing on the actual loss, he hijacks the spotlight to push his narrative, ignoring the real issue at hand. And here's the kicker. This isn't some shocking new behavior. De Niro has a whole track record of turning grief into a stage for his political theatrics. Think back.
A buddy of mine, wonderful White House correspondent for Real Clear Politics. He's a serious journalist, right? And he quote tweets the press release and he says, one of the speakers will be Robert De Niro. My hand to God, my first thought was, good for Phil. This is funny. This is a good, funny joke. It's nice to see Phil let his hair down. And then I was like, wait a minute, Phil wouldn't make this joke in this situation. And I still couldn't believe it was real. I am absolutely flummoxed.
This is the same man who went on live TV before the 2024 election screaming at Americans like he was a one-man warning siren. He even declared that Trump supporters were unwelcome in any project he was involved with. That's not empathy, that's exclusion. Over and over again, he's proven he values agenda over compassion. And now, with Charlie Kirk's death, he's playing the same tired game all over again. But here's the thing, it didn't have to go this way. Imagine if De Niro had simply said, this is tragic. Let's come together as a society, that's it. A basic acknowledgement of grief, a moment of respect, a call for unity. That would have shown real heart. Instead, we get yet another lecture, another political sermon, another angry rant that divides people further when unity is needed most. And once the mainstream media grabs hold of those comments, forget it. The division only explodes. These platforms, whether it's Hollywood stars, news outlets, or online influencers, hold serious power. They shape how millions think, how they argue, how they view each other. When they choose to politicize instead of humanize, the ripple effect poisons the culture itself. Families get divided, arguments turn into all-out battles, and discourse becomes toxic beyond repair. That's what De Niro is adding to, knowingly or not. And now, even with his fame and fortune, the backlash is starting to creep in. The public is no longer swallowing his rants the way they once did, and the consequences are starting to hit hard. The fallout from Robert De Niro's latest rant isn't just noise on social media. It's turning into a cultural earthquake, shaking Hollywood's reputation to its core. What started as one actor running his mouth at the worst possible moment has snowballed into a tidal wave of backlash, with people from every corner of society chiming in. And trust me, it's not looking good for the so-called elite of entertainment. After De Niro's comments tying Charlie Kirk's death to toxic conservative rhetoric, the internet practically exploded. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Reddit, you name it, were instantly flooded with outrage. On one side, you had hardcore Hollywood loyalists clapping and cheering him on, claiming he was speaking truth to power. But the other side was furious. Millions of everyday Americans called him insensitive, arrogant, and completely detached from reality. The phrase out-of-touch millionaire started trending within hours, with users dragging De Niro for living in a gated mansion while lecturing working-class people about politics during a tragedy. One viral post read, "A man just lost his life and De Niro's first thought is how to make it about Trump." This isn't compassion, it's ego dressed up as activism. That tweet racked up hundreds of thousands of likes and shares, spreading like wildfire across platforms. Memes soon followed, mocking De Niro by photoshopping him behind a podium at funerals, ready to give political lectures instead of condolences. The message was clear. People are tired of celebrities using every tragedy as a personal soapbox, and it didn't stop there. Conservative voices, of course, blasted De Niro, calling him a Hollywood bully. But interestingly, it wasn't just conservatives who took issue this time. Moderates, independents, and even some liberals spoke up, admitting that De Niro's timing was tone-deaf and cruel. One commentator on CNN even admitted live on air, "Look, I don't care if you hate Trump or not, but politicizing a death like this is bad optics. It makes Hollywood look petty, not principled." When CNN, a network often accused of leaning left, is calling you out, you know you've crossed a line. Behind the scenes, Hollywood insiders are whispering about the growing damage. Some say De Niro's constant outbursts are starting to wear thin, even within his own circles. One unnamed producer allegedly told a trade magazine, "We all know Bob's passionate, but sometimes passion without restraint becomes poison. There's a difference between speaking your mind and hijacking grief." That line made headlines of its own, fueling speculation that De Niro may be alienating even his longtime allies. Meanwhile, fans have started digging up De Niro's old statements, the rants before the 2024 election, the insults toward Trump supporters, the endless speeches at award shows, and stitching them together into De Niro Meltdown compilations that are going viral on YouTube. These videos are pulling in millions of views with titles like "Robert De Niro, from actor to angry activist," and "Every time De Niro made tragedy about Trump." The internet has receipts, and people are replaying them nonstop. But here's where it gets even spicier. The backlash isn't just cultural, it's starting to hit financial nerves too. Rumors are swirling that certain studios are quietly reconsidering projects tied to De Niro, worried that his unpredictable behavior could tank box office numbers. Imagine putting millions into a film only for the lead actors to overshadow the release. Hollywood may tolerate politics to a point, but when it starts threatening profits, that's when patience runs out fast. And it's not just Hollywood suits feeling the pressure. Fans themselves are voting with their wallets. Reports claim that ticket pre-sales for one of De Niro's upcoming films dipped sharply after his latest outburst, with social media users openly calling for boycotts. One viral TikTok video showed a group of young moviegoers ripping up their advance tickets on camera, captioned, "We don't pay to be lectured by millionaires. Bye, Bob." That clip alone drew millions of views and thousands of comments cheering the boycott on. Meanwhile, comedians and late-night hosts couldn't resist piling on. Some roasted De Niro for being Hollywood's angry grandpa, while others sarcastically joked that America should hire him as its official eulogist, since he clearly prefers speeches over sympathy. Even Saturday Night Live, which often leans liberal, aired a skit poking fun at De Niro standing at a podium saying, "This isn't about grief, this is about Trump, Trump, Trump." The audience roared with laughter, but the underlying message was deadly serious. Even his own side is laughing at how predictable and extreme he's become. But the ripple effects go way deeper than De Niro alone. His comments reopened a larger debate about Hollywood's role in American society. Do celebrities really have the right to politicize every tragedy? Or should they, like everyone else, know when to step back and let the focus remain on the victims and their families? This isn't just about De Niro's mouth. It's about an entire industry that seems addicted to turning sorrow into sound bites. Think about it. In the last few years, nearly every major tragedy has been followed by a chorus of celebrities posting statements, recording videos, or using award show stages to push political agendas. To some, it feels less like solidarity and more like performance art, a way to stay relevant in the age of social media outrage. And De Niro's latest rant just poured gasoline on that perception. Meanwhile, regular people are left wondering, where is the empathy? Where is the humanity? Why does it always feel like celebrities are more interested in headlines than healing? These are the questions flooding comment sections across the internet. One YouTube comment summed it up perfectly. "I don't need De Niro to tell me how to feel. I need him to shut up and let families grieve." That line alone has been screenshotted and shared across multiple platforms like a digital slogan for the backlash. And yet, for all the chaos, De Niro himself remains unapologetic. According to insiders, he's doubling down in private, insisting that truth must be spoken no matter the cost. But what he calls truth, millions are calling tone-deaf arrogance. And if the current storm is any indication, he may soon learn the hard way that even fame doesn't protect you from consequences forever. At the end of the day, this moment feels like a cultural turning point. Hollywood's bubble is colliding with the raw anger of regular people who are sick of being talked down to by elites who live in million-dollar mansions but pretend to understand their pain. And while De Niro may have lit the match this time, the fire burning around Hollywood is much bigger than him. The question now is simple. Will the industry finally learn to step back and respect tragedy for what it is? Or will they keep playing politics until the audience turns its back completely? One thing is certain, Robert De Niro's rant didn't just spark outrage, it cracked open the ugly truth about Hollywood itself, and the world is watching. Roles are slipping through his fingers, projects are drying up, and Robert De Niro's grip on relevance is fading fast. In 2025, Hollywood has changed. Audiences aren't blindly worshiping celebrities anymore, they're watching closely and calling out the hypocrisy in real time. And here's the bitter irony. The very same crowd that points at Trump as the symbol of division is now watching De Niro fuel that exact same division, proving once again that hypocrisy doesn't just exist in politics, it's alive and thriving in Hollywood. Meanwhile, the shadow of Charlie Kirk's death still looms over the country, and even beyond American borders, everywhere you look, the debates rage on. Some are blaming Republicans, others hurl accusations at Democrats, some are bizarrely pointing the finger at moderates, independents, even people who don't pick sides at all, as if neutrality itself is some kind of crime. The blame game has spiraled into madness. But let's cut through the noise for a second. The reality is simple. The responsibility doesn't fall on Republicans, Democrats, or any ideology in between. The responsibility lies with one person, the individual who carried out this horrific act. Period. Everything else, from the endless hot takes on Twitter to the finger-pointing op-eds to the outrage theater from Hollywood elites, is just distraction. Loud, shallow distraction that buries the truth under a pile of noise. And that's the danger right there. aware, if we let the noise dominate the conversation, we lose sight of the real human cost. Families are broken, lives have been shattered, people are grieving in silence while celebrities and pundits use the tragedy like a microphone. The focus shifts from compassion to clout, from mourning to moral grandstanding. And the heartbreaking reality is that in the stampede for attention, the human aspect, the raw grief, the loss, the actual pain of this tragedy is slipping further and further into the background. This isn't just about headlines, hashtags, or trending clips. It's about remembering that behind the chaos are real people whose lives will never be the same. And if we keep letting Hollywood's fake outrage and social media's hot takes dominate the airwaves, we risk letting the humanity of this moment vanish completely. While Hollywood drowns in its own echo chamber, far away from the flashing cameras and red carpets, the real story is unfolding in homes, in communities, and in the voices of people actually feeling the weight of this tragedy. Forget the De Niros and the influencers chasing clout, because the truth is much simpler and much heavier. Families are grieving, supporters are shaken, and ordinary Americans are trying to process the unimaginable. In living rooms across the country, the debates on CNN or Fox don't matter. What matters are the empty chairs at dinner tables, the phone calls that will never be answered, the futures cut short. People who actually knew Charlie Kirk, people who loved him or worked with him, are trying to make sense of the senseless. And while celebrities are out there turning this into political theater, the people closest to the loss are reminding the world what's really at stake: human life. One close supporter of Kirk was quoted saying, "Everyone's fighting about politics, but I just lost a friend." None of that other noise means anything right now. That raw honesty cuts deeper than any scripted Hollywood rant could ever hope to. It's a reminder that behind the headlines and hashtags are human beings left to carry pain that doesn't trend, doesn't go viral, and doesn't fade when the cameras turn away. And that's where the split is becoming clearer than ever. Ordinary Americans versus Hollywood privilege. For many regular people, this tragedy isn't a soapbox or a soundbite. It's a wake-up call about safety, about unity, about the way we treat each other in an increasingly fractured society. Communities from coast to coast have been holding vigils, prayer services, and moments of silence, not for political clout, not for likes, but out of genuine respect for a life lost. Contrast that with celebrities spitting out finger-pointing speeches, and it's no wonder people are turning on Hollywood's outrage machine. Social media paints the picture in stark detail. Videos of candlelight vigils, crowds softly singing hymns, children holding posters that read, "Choose love, not hate." These clips spread online too, but they don't carry the venom of political rants. They carry hope, grief, and the kind of unity that celebrities claim to stand for but rarely practice. One viral TikTok of a small-town vigil simply captioned, "This is how we heal," hit over 3 million views in 2 days, showing that people are hungry for sincerity, not theatrics. And while Americans mourn, the ripple effect has gone international. Across Europe, Asia, and even parts of Africa, headlines about Charlie Kirk's death have stirred debates about safety, speech, and violence in public life. In London, a crowd gathered outside the US Embassy holding signs that read, "Justice for Kirk." Proof that this wasn't just an American tragedy, it was a global shockwave. Meanwhile, in Canada, political commentators highlighted how quickly a moment of loss was hijacked by celebrities and activists, warning their own public figures not to follow the same path. But here's where the emotional divide really deepens. The families and ordinary people are seeking healing while Hollywood is addicted to outrage. That gap is widening by the day. The more De Niro and his peers rant, the more regular Americans tune them out. One mother at a vigil told a local reporter, "We don't need actors to tell us what to think. We need space to grieve." That single sentence summed up the national mood perfectly. Grief doesn't need scripts and unity doesn't need politics. And yet, despite this powerful pushback from the public, Hollywood doesn't seem to get it. They're still tweeting, still ranting, still performing outrage like it's their favorite role. But the tide is shifting. More and more people are realizing that the real strength in this moment isn't in the noise of celebrities, but in the quiet resilience of ordinary folks who refuse to let grief become a stage. At the end of the day, families don't measure loss in trending hashtags. They measure it in tears, in silence, in the unbearable absence of someone who mattered. Communities don't heal through lectures. They heal through unity, through shared pain, and through remembering what really matters. And while Hollywood continues to scream from its pedestal, America is quietly showing them up, proving that dignity, compassion, and humanity will always speak louder than a celebrity rant. We're not here just to echo the loudest voices for clicks. We're here to cut through the noise, tear down the fakery, and expose the hypocrisy that's dripping from every corner of this mess. And make no mistake, the hypocrisy is everywhere. From De Niro's podium rants to Hollywood elites patting themselves on the back to media personalities who care more about camera time than compassion. Take De Niro as the prime example. The man has made it painfully clear he's not changing his ways. He's never apologized for his past meltdowns, never acknowledged the damage his divisive commentary has caused, and yet he keeps preaching from his Hollywood pedestal like he's the chosen voice of morality. But the audience isn't blind anymore. They're watching, and the hypocrisy is glaring in neon lights. The contrast between the raw grief of tragedy and the fake outrage of performative elites is almost painful to witness. One side is mourning lives while the other is chasing headlines. And that's the point here. This isn't just about one actor running his mouth or one tragedy that shook the nation. This is bigger. This is a wake-up call, a brutal reminder that society is fragile and the people with the biggest platforms hold enormous power over how we process pain. And when tragedy strikes, that power should be used for empathy first, unity first, humanity first. But instead, too often it's hijacked by political posturing and celebrity grandstanding. Instead of moments of silence, we get a circus. Instead of compassion, we get tweets, rants, interviews, and op-eds designed to push agendas, shift blame, or just grab attention. So here's the hard question. What do we as a society do about it? How do we respond when public figures exploit tragedy for their own gain? Do we keep rewarding them with clicks and airtime? Or do we finally strip away the pedestal and hold them accountable, demanding empathy instead of ego? So here's the big question. Do we just sit back and let Hollywood dictate morality, control public opinion, and spin tragedy into their favorite theater? Or do we finally hold them accountable? Do we start questioning their motives and demand responses that are thoughtful, measured, and respectful, instead of the emotional grandstanding we've been fed again and again? The choice is ours, but the consequences of silence are real. They're not just cultural, they're tangible, they're personal, and they're already tearing society apart. Because when celebrities weaponize tragedy for political clout, it doesn't just fill up news feeds, it poisons public discourse. It twists how people see reality, it fuels division, and it normalizes outrage until empathy becomes the exception instead of the rule. De Niro's endless rants, Hollywood's constant posturing, the media's obsession with shock value, it's all proof of how warped this cycle has become. But here's what must not be forgotten. The death of Charlie Kirk isn't just a headline, it's a human loss. It's a brutal reminder that lives matter more than ideology, more than celebrity commentary, more than political agendas, and it's also a call to action, a demand that when tragedy strikes, we hold those in power to a higher standard. The response should be empathy first, unity first, humanity first. Anything less is a betrayal to the victims, their families, and to everyone watching this unfold. So now it's over to you. What do you think? Has Hollywood completely lost touch? Is De Niro just being De Niro? Or is this part of a bigger problem with actors, comedians, and influencers turning grief into performance? Are they helping unite people? Or are they making everything worse just to stay in the spotlight? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear where you stand. And don't forget, like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell because this conversation isn't ending here. More stories, more hypocrisy, and more raw truth are coming, and you won't want to miss a single update. Remember this, what we're witnessing right now isn't just gossip. It's a collision of drama, politics, hypocrisy, tragedy, and reality all wrapped into one. Hollywood may try to distract with glamour and noise, but the truth cuts deeper. The truth exposes agendas. The truth shows who's really benefiting from the chaos, and as long as we keep shining light on it, that truth will not be silenced. See you on the next one.